Hi, John Morgan here, and welcome to this week's episode of Bob's Live. And you may be seeing this again because we lost our connection, so I had to start over. But anyhow, so we get this on the recording. Let's start off with the news and announcements. And of course, the really important one is our Spring Color Tour. It is tomorrow, Saturday, April 27th at 3 p.m. here at our production facility in Mason, West Virginia. So you can join us at 3 for some refreshments and snacks and, hey, door prizes. And then we'll head out into the greenhouse for a tour. And also right now, we have our spring photo contest going on. Now, the photos are due by Sunday, May 5th, and you can send those to ask@bobsmarket.com, and be sure in the email to include your name and address so we know how to get a hold of you if you win. Now, to get things started off today, I want to take a look at some helpful gardening hints and tips. And in this week's newsletter, we were talking about Gerber daisies. So, I went out earlier in the week and filmed a video on how to care for Gerber daisies. And they're really quite simple to care for. Aside from the regular gardening tools like your watering can and some fertilizer, the only other thing that you need is just a good pair of scissors to clip off dead blooms. So, let's take a look. Hi, John Morgan here with Bob's Market and Greenhouses. And in this video, we're going to take a look at how to care for Gerber daisies. Plant Gerbers in partial or full sun. In the deep south, the sunlight is too brutal and can cause the plant's leaves and blooms to become sunburned. In other climates, however, the daisies can be placed in full sun. Keep your Gerber soil moist, but not too wet. Likewise, allowing a Gerber to dry out can really stress the plant out. Plant Gerber daisies in soil that drains easily. If you plant the daisies outdoors, you can ensure that the soil will drain properly if you plant on a slope. Gerber daisies planted in pots need to have a hole in the bottom so the pot can drain. Gerber daisies make a great choice for planted containers, and you can keep them outside during the summertime, and with a little bit of care, it's even possible to move them indoors during the winter. Use sharp clippers to remove dead flower heads. This not only will keep the plant looking nice, but it will also promote the growth of new daisies. Fertilize your Gerber with a water-soluble fertilizer, like Jack's Classic Blossom Booster, according to the package directions for best results. I also recommend Jack's Classic Classic Coat, a time-release fertilizer. For this and other great information, visit us online at bobsmarket.com. So, Gerber daisies, pretty easy to care for. Now let's take a look at the gardening weather forecast. And tomorrow for the tour, we are going to have some awesome weather. And it's going to be 74 degrees, and there's going to be some clouds around, but that's going to be great because you don't want to get too sunburned out in the greenhouse. And moving on into Sunday, so Saturday night into Sunday, and most of the day Sunday, we're going to be looking at some rain and even a chance for some thunderstorms. And then moving on into the early part of next week, it's going to be warming up. So we're looking at 73 on Monday and a high up around 80 on Tuesday. However, moving on into the later part of the week, mid to late week next week, we're going to have a cold front move through, and the temperatures are going to drop, and we're going to have thunderstorms and rain. Now, from a gardening standpoint, between May 2nd and May 3rd, we're looking at a chance for some frost. And, you know, I don't want to say it yet, but it might be our last chance of frost for the season. So fingers crossed that hopefully that will be our last frost chance. So now let's take a look at the allergy forecast. And right now, the pollen levels are pretty high. I know I've been having some itchy eyes and nasal stuff going on, and yeah, it's allergy season. So yeah, right now on the scale, we are at a 9.1 on our scale of 0 to 12. So we're up in the high range. And of course, the main culprit right now is still tree pollen. So if we take a look at the map, we are in the high to very high tree pollen region right now. I know at home, my apple trees, I don't think I've seen this much bloom on them for quite a few years. And it's beautiful, but if you suffer from allergies, it's maybe not that beautiful. And also on the rise, we have grass pollen. Now this time of year, it's always neat to watch this map because the grass pollen tends to start further south, but then you also see it start to ramp up in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, kind of the large grassy farmland states. So over the next few weeks, as we look at these maps each week, you'll see the grass pollen gradually start to spread out over the U.S. And of course, I've noticed here that our hayfields are starting to get some flower heads on them and starting to flower. So yeah, we're going to start experiencing, you know, the effects of grass pollen in this area too. And finally, let's take a look at the Gardener's Almanac. And we are moving into some prime days for planting. The 27th through the 29th is going to be perfect for planting above ground crops. And then moving on to the 30th through the 1st of May, it's going to be a great time for planting root crops. Now the 2nd and 3rd, if we jump back to the slide with the weather, that's when we're going to be having that little cold snap. And, you know, that kind of lines up good because it's going to be a barren period. So during those days, you don't want to be planting anything if you plant according to the almanac. And well, that is our show for this week. And I'll see you back here next week at 4 p.m. And hopefully we don't lose our connection next week. I was looking over at the system monitor and I think it was something that I may have done. So I'll have to correct that. Until next week, stay gardening.